Welcome to the BeFused podcast. I'm your host, Don Davis. And in this episode of BeFused, Dr. Anthony Marotta and I are interviewing Jens Schuster. He's the founder of Breadymix. Has a vision that is focused on getting you to be able to make the healthiest breads yourself. So with that, I just thought briefly what I might do is just bring in Dr. Marotta and let's just talk a little bit about, Jens and the experience in terms of working with Breadymix. Welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be back here again. So I really appreciate our time and looking forward to today's episode as well, featuring Breadymix and Jens, on this. So we met Jens, I want to say a good 12 months ago, actually under the premise of a completely different project. And then he was telling us basically that he was also working on, this proposition with Breadymix to bring healthier, low carb solutions basically to the home, where individuals could actually mix essentially his ingredients with water, let it sit for a bit, and then bake your own low carb bread. And I'm like, okay, well this sounds interesting. Let's take a look at what you're doing, because again, for certain individuals suffering with metabolic disorders, where again they're told to have lower carbohydrate, could this actually be something that would serve that demographic very, very well? And so we started liaising with Jens, and we ended up making some recipe tweaks or recipe recommendations in terms of changing the formulation slightly to kind of build or meet that healthier for you designation. And it's been a great relationship thus far in working with Jens. And even since that time, we've been able to connect Jens with some of our colleagues, so to speak, on the medical side to push his products forward, under the keto or high protein, low carb realm, so to speak. So it's, I'm really looking forward to speaking with Jens further about his journey with us as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, as well from a couple of perspectives, but I'm sure we'll get into it in the interview. But so, Dr. Marotta, with your introduction, I just would like to bring in Jens now and have him join us. So welcome to the BeFused podcast, Jens.
Big pleasure, Don, Anthony, being here. Wonderful. Thanks for the invite, and excited to speak a little bit about our brand and what we do, and to spread the word.
Yeah, so can we maybe just start with a little bit about you? Because I think whenever I looked at your history as well, it looked to me like, you've got kind of an interesting, background, and like, where you came from and things like that would be interesting, I'm sure, for the listeners as well.
Yeah, quite an evolution, that's for sure. Yeah. So, well, just to start off with, I'm considering myself as a species of a bread and butter addict. Well, you add coffee to that, but that's kind of what I really like in terms of food. I love sports. I'm a global citizen, like truly, and I've been in the corporate world, basically on the hospitality and travel side, for about 20 years before launching my brand, and always been having and enjoying side gigs and hustles so far. And one major thing was really to also connect people across industries and across cultures. I truly believe that the ultimate life hack is, and that's also true for business and business growth, are partnerships or collaborations, cross-cultural exchange. And that's also kind of, I guess, a good segue to why we've partnered up with Food Created by Doctors and Chefs. That is with Anthony's project, your Project Healthy Human, to get or obtain this certification at a very early stage. So that being said, I'm obviously from Germany, so that's where I've been born and grown up. But then again, adding to that, been traveling around the globe, so really observing not only cultures but also different types of foods, and how people look at their diets, and it very interesting. So yeah, one thing for me, being kind of in that transition from Germany to North America, to Vancouver, to be specific, to Canada, has been kind of right. That's where it started. Missing my bread, and at the same time looking at yeah, and that was obviously the pandemic factor, making it on your own, like in a very, very simple way. And at the same time, also not like creating something that again hits the well comfort food button, but is kind of healthier for you. And that's kind of when the thought process started in 2020, and along that journey, obviously, the evolution of Breadymix products.
Yeah, and so I mean, I saw, in terms of your career, right? You were with Lufthansa, I believe. Is that correct? And then, also, then leading, to this. Did you do both for a while? I mean, because you mentioned, having, to like a side hustle as well. So I'm just curious, did you do both at the same time for a while?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, the pandemic kind of forced me into a new, let's say, career path. I've always wanted to be, the builder and creator of my own company, and that started actually in the early months of 2020, and then by March, when this whole thing like kind of it hit me like like seriously, where many people also got. Kind of stranded. So I got stranded in Panama with my wife, and we actually got stuck there for 5 months, and had to create, a solution for the future, and because obviously the travel industry was, dead, like literally
Right. Yeah.
no flights and obviously no hotels for a few months. So we sparked our brains, and the desire to create something obviously drove us into the food space, where we were kind of thinking that, combined with the health factor, this is really something we want to achieve. And then obviously thinking bread, thinking Germany, and our new place to be, that is Vancouver, North America, right? We were kind of ending up exactly there. And then
Yeah.
eventually, nothing's better than freshly sliced bread, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, what led to the idea, though? I mean, because in terms of the ingredients that you have, was it the idea of trying to make it simple for people that led to the creation of Bready Mix?
Yeah, yeah, that's one component. So we followed a principle of four pillars. So, and we call this the check. So CHEQ, and then the C, and that's the first word is obviously the convenience component, right? So really making it as easy as possible to create your own bread, because as many other people too, baking was big during the pandemic, and people were trying to create their own, let's say, versions of good bread. So did we, of course, and yeah, we thought this gotta be easier. And then the H is the health component, right? To make it really healthy or healthier for you. Then we got the E, which is an educational component, where we obviously looking at our vision, and also our mission is really to educate people to eat healthier and have thus longer lives. That's garbage in, garbage out, so to say.
Yeah. Right.
To flip that around, and then the Q is the quality component, where we stand by the made in Germany quality component with premium ingredients that we selected and or sourced back home.
Yeah. And I mean, well, so Anthony knows that we normally record these like right around my dinner time. And so, oftentimes I'm sitting here and, really hungry as all of you start to describe, what you might be, making or offering. So, but tonight I just so happened, my wife made popovers, tonight, along with dinner, and I got to squeeze in dinner before we got started here, which kind of leads me to the next part of, the part that I really like in your vision, which is that let's make the world a breadier place. We want to craft the healthiest breads and enable you to make them yourself. I mean, I like this concept because through the pandemic, the one thing that I figured out is that I'm not somebody who's very good at sort of keeping starters and things like that. I don't do that very well because of keeping up the maintenance and the temperature and all that kind of stuff. And so, it sounds really interesting to me. So can you tell us just a little bit more about the vision itself and what made you sort of think about this as the vision for the company?
Yeah, like really going from me and my wife actually being a bread person, like really loving bread, and that is obviously specifically fresh bread. So, and combining that with a healthier product for you, so that is a better place, right? So we want to create a better world, or bake a better world as a better place, in fact. So yeah, because 90% of the breads, of the conventional breads, you wouldn't really think of as, that's healthier for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then really adding the component of making it super easy, but keeping the taste and the flavor at a really high level as well, because that's what suffers with a few health breads or brands, right? There is a compromise on taste, which we really wanted to kind of keep as high as possible, and I think we've done a really good job there.
Yeah.
And
Go
just
ahead.
Don, just kind of adding there too, when you get into, even on our end, one of our difficult challenges in terms of identifying products like bread products to use, they're often, again, and Jens can attest to this too, when you start dissecting, and I mean literally dissecting the ingredient decks, on these things, there's a lot of conditioners and additives that are put into, products to allow it to retain its moisture content and to be able to obviously sit either frozen for a long period of time and or to sit, for example, on the shelf, and again, that becomes problematic just in terms of supporting a healthier, state, so to speak, within the gut. A lot of these conditioners, emulsifiers, really add complexity to the gut and change the biome. So, again, that was something that, Jens and I, as he started to look and we started to drill into his formula, that we ended up, again, going back to, his German providers and asking them to tweak, the formulas to ensure that when we're doing, these dry mixes, that people can bake at home or make at home, that arguably it's as clean, and devoid of a lot of these additives that we just see so insidious, in the marketplace. And then coupled with that too, bread and carbs have been vilified, as you know. So again, the fact that, for folks that want to consume bread but don't want to have that bolus of carbohydrates, here's, a solution, for them that, arguably is a very nice, healthy and tasty proposition. On our end, and Jens knows this, we take, his ingredients, and we actually make some really nice rustic, kind of round, loaves, more in the shape of what a traditional like sourdough loaf. And, the feedback is great when they come out of the oven, and sorry if I'm going to make you hungry, but when they come out of the oven, they have that nice crunch, on the outer portion. When you cut into it, you've got a very nice soft, middle part. And, it's just, they're very good. And in fact, again, one of, and Jens can maybe speak about this, but just even with, one of the individuals who's, a specialist in the keto realm, Dr. David, he's tried, and he's actually written a book on the whole keto diet, and Jens can talk maybe a little bit, about that as well. But he's tried various different high protein or keto style of breads. And, Jens, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I know he was very, very, very impressed with, Jens's product. They made it at home. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, as well, Jens.
Yeah, no, keep rolling. um, yeah, so number one really was to again have a healthier for you product that is has no compromise on flavor, right? And then we looked at as Anthony mentioned, we looked at the deck, and there was a bit of cleanup to do. Really not. I mean, we couldn't really reduce the fact that there are people that are, let's say, allergic, for instance. With regards to gluten, right? So we didn't reduce that. So there were compromise on our end that we can't create a solution that will satisfy every single person. So we had to go down this. Okay, it's not going to be a gluten-free product. But then there's like the flip side, and that's kind of the positives here. To go in a really high protein and low carb basis. It is a vegan product, so we hit also that market that's one of the fastest growing markets to begin with, the vegetarian vegan market, right? And then alongside with that, obviously we ran through another certification that is the keto certification, as well as just recently the kosher certification. So to really stress the fact that we have vetted all kind of quality certifications, right? And then with regards to the collaboration, and that's what I really appreciate about also working with the team around Anthony, is not only opening new doors to new people from the industry, which for me is like it's a new industry. It's been kind of quite a journey to discover, but then also to the let's say science world out there that people that really understand what they're doing, and have obviously all data to prove that. And so we got introduced to Dr. David Harper, who has been or has published the book which is called The Bio Diet, to educate people on a lower carb, no sugar diet, and obviously successfully. We've been looking through some of the existing products that I have on the market already, but also looking into kind of designing new products actually together in a collaboration with him and his team to cater to even improve and enhance what we already built. And that's been very encouraging, very, very enchanting to see that we've brought a product to North America that doesn't exist or hasn't existed. So that's really very encouraging to give consumers something on hand that fulfills a need.
Yeah, so why don't we talk just a little bit about the actual product offerings that you have, and then we could tell people a little bit about where they can find your products as well. But why don't we start with what types of bread offerings does your company have?
Yeah, all follow the same principle. I mean, we really believe, to stress again, that food is medicine. And so we started with 3 SKUs. We've tried, and I allude to that a little later, also kind of the sweeter baked goods section. But for now, we've on the market a multigrain bread, a sandwich bread, so wider French loaf version, and also a burger bun do-it-yourself version. And they all tick the boxes of high protein, low carb, 100% clean, all plant-based, keto and kosher certified.
Perfect. And then where can people find your products?
Except for the direct sale on our website, we've also bonded with a couple of, let's say, medium, small distributors. So that's been in the works for quite some time. We've hit some local markets in BC. Amongst those, where with the widest, let's say, spread is PharmaSafe. So obviously they love the product since they got a ideal protein, so a high protein, low carb counseling concept or diet, right? Where we hit just the right demographics. We have been bonding with Vegan Supply, with a few markets, independent markets in Vancouver City, as well as also the Kelowna Okanagan area. And then for what regards also online sale, online distribution, we've successfully hit the virtual shelves of Walmart in the US as well as GNC.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Anthony, did you have something else that you were going to add? It
No,
seemed like you.
I just wanted to make sure that Jens spoke about basically US as well, that the products are available through Walmart as well as GNC. Because we obviously follow the brands, very closely, and again, that's really critical, like how they're able to scale and formalize some of these partnerships. We want to make sure that people have broad accessibility to the products, and obviously, it's not just about for example, selling it within the Canadian market. It's also to thinking, on a broader, scale. Obviously, U.S. is our closest neighbor, so to speak. So, moving into the U.S., market is critical for us. But then, coupled with that, how do we, ensure that these products also have capacity or capabilities to go into Europe and more abroad. So I'm glad that Jens told us about Walmart and GNC.
Yeah, I
And
think
Jens, how do they find that? Just sorry, Don's like just for the folks that might be listening, for if they're interested in trying the product, like is there a specific section within Walmart or GNC that they need to go to?
Online, it's available on their regular websites or shops. I forgot about to add Giant Foods. That's also been quite recent in the US, where they're really smart in creating bundles and stuff. So yep, no, but just the regular .coms of those companies, and you find us right away.
And you just search for Breadymix then?
That's it.
Okay.
And then
So
you
how do you
also have
spell that? Sorry,
I
Don.
was just going to spell it. I was going to spell the website as well. So you have a nice website. I actually went and purchased the book that you just talked about a second ago, by Dr. David Harper, from your Breadymix website. So that the website is Breadymix, BreadyMix.ca is the website where you can find the products as well.
Or .com. It's
Or
both work.
.com. Oh, good. You never know. So, and then I have some questions about the website itself. I mean, one of the videos that you have on there actually inspired me a little bit. So, you have on the website, you have two kids that actually bake a loaf of bread. And I really like to see kids in the kitchen, making things as well. And, so, I mean, can you talk about what the inspiration, I guess, of the video was, and then talk a little bit about, sort of the idea that, it'd be so simple that even kids could make it.
There you go. You hit the nail on the dot. That's exactly what we try to convey as a message. It's we call it, it's a child's play. So it is as easy as it gets to have that done by your kids. That's number one, and then also it's a big educational. Again, I'm coming back to our check pillars. That is the educational aspect of it, where we see, of course, the trend in not only in North America but globally goes more and more into, okay, it's all prepared, kind of don't need the kitchen actually, but that's if you have an oven, why not using it? Because everyone obviously has an oven, and that's all you need, except for a bit of water. So it could be quite simple to still create your own non-processed food right at home, and enjoy it fresh.
Yeah, so I mean, for anybody that hasn't checked out the video, I mean, it's a pretty inspiring video to watch two younger kids, more or less, mixing the bread mix and then, waiting for it to rise. My grandsons are so encouraged about bread. I showed it to my wife earlier today and just said, hey, you have to check this out, because I could see them, in the kitchen like doing this as I was watching the video, and at the same time, you definitely get the message that, hey, look, this can be done, pretty simply as well. So
It's fun, yeah, and it's fun not only to watch and to well experience, but it's also again to fun, fun to pass on this little, let's say, lesson of life that you can actually create your own food, and that's kind of also part of being a parent, to to go through that, and yeah, that was in our minds. And apart from that, of course, we want to bring this whole idea further, and we've just recently started to collaborate with a daycare over here in Vancouver. So the idea would really be to bring the kids into either a commercial kitchen, or sometimes schools offer that as well, and then to do a session or run a session together with them, and then show live what it's like.
yeah.
And apart from that, we've actually also tweaked the formula for one of our products, so there is not even a proofing necessary. So again, that would cut down the waiting time, and would make it quite a seamless experience.
Yeah, we've had a couple different discussions on this podcast about how important time is for our digestion and other things as well. And I think about that, 1 hour wait time to wait for bread to rise. And, it's like, I'd rather get to the part of, cutting the warm bread and getting to it. So yeah, for sure.
Patience is important too.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
we talked a lot about that with
with
Dr. Guard
everyone.
whenever I had him on as well. Yeah, Arun and I had a good discussion about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we covered a lot of this throughout the podcast as well, but I just wanted to check back with you, Jens, in terms of the certification process. So you talked about the fact that there was a real collaboration going on between your company and then Project Healthy Human. What was it like whenever you first, got started? Were you pretty close in terms of being certified, and then it just took some collaboration on a couple of things, or was it a lengthy process and smooth, or was it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, smooth is the right word. It started obviously with a couple of conversations about a completely different project, but then it led to this. And so we discovered that we do share some of the same values, right? So that's where it starts. And hence, it has always felt like a true win-win and win partnership. So obviously for eventually the consumer as well. And yeah, I can only testify that from day one onwards, it's been smooth, but also it's been growing. So yes, the certification was one part, and to kind of figure that out. But then there's much more to it. So
Very good. And then, Dr. Marotta, I guess from your side, in terms of working with the Breadymix team, what's that collaboration been like?
It's been fruitful. I really appreciate the fact that Jens also too, when he's thinking of new products, he's again, we can talk about the brownie. That they have this brownie that they'd like to move forward with, and I get an email is this going to pass? And I'm like, well, I don't know. We have to run it through the system. But when I look at some of the ingredients, you might want to tweak this. And, again, Jens, he really appreciates that. So he doesn't take it for granted. He wants to also on our end, again, because of the similar or the like-mindedness, that we both have, he wants to make sure that when we're doing things that, it meets obviously, the desired, endpoint. And I think again, too, as Jens says, it's not just, let's basically get certified and move on. It's how do we build basically an ecosystem together. So we're actually now, and Jens has been able to secure a local bakery in the Vancouver market that's actually going to begin to bake his product for us. And so what we'll do there is we'll collaborate and we'll actually start to build out some ready to consume propositions using his bread as the vessel, so to speak, to create something that is more suited towards the high protein individual, so to speak. So we look to basically collaborate on multiple levels. And so I think I just saw an email from you, effectively maybe about half an hour ago, where we're going to get samples, next week. So that's part of our strategy too, is, let's basically not only certify the product, but then let's amplify you, work collaboratively together so that we can take basically, some of these products and then push them through our, to our channels or our network as well. Because again, one of the biggest challenges that we've always faced within our journey within Peckish, as we've said, is sourcing ingredients. More often than not, it's like, no, can't use that versus, yes. So the fact that we're able to collaborate, it makes everything, it streamlines our process where we can actually focus on executing and bringing more of this healthier fare, to the consumer or to the marketplace, whether it be healthcare, academia, or just even traditional retail.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up, I just wanted to ask both of you, do either of you have any final comments that you'd like to share with the audience before we close out here?
Jens?
Maybe just again to stress that the name really says it all. The Project Healthy Human, right? So really that is one of the key driver and really fulfilling to for us as the Breadymix team to move forward and bring even in a, let's say, economic downturn where a lot of the skies are kind of dark, to keep going and understand that we have we're on the right track, and this is bringing a lot of benefits to the people, to consumer out there, and doing that in a even broader team with the team around Anthony is very, very inspiring and motivating.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, COVID was pretty tragic, overall, but I've seen some just fantastic things come out of it as well. And so to your point, I mean, yes, it was tragic. However, the fact that you created Breadymix and that it's there for a solution for people, as well as a healthy solution at that. So congratulations on that. Any last comments, Dr. Marotta?
No, that's great. I just would like to thank Jens specifically for his last comments and for being here.
Yeah. So Dr. Marotta and Jens, thanks so much for being on the BeFused podcast. For anybody that's wanting to check out the solutions that Breadymix offers, again, I would encourage you to go to Breadymix, BREADYMIX.ca or .com. And then also they're in the giant food stores, Walmart and GNC. So hopefully I've gotten all of those correct here at the end, but thanks so much to both of you for being on.
Thank you, Doug.
Major thanks.